everyone, and welcome to this episode of SOFTalk, the only podcast on the internet that talks about D&D.
The only one ever.
I'm trying out some taglines for the show. I'll have a new one next week. Figure it out.
That one might stick.
That one might stick.
It's pretty good.
It's very accurate.
It's factual.
I can actually name one. Name one right now.
I can't do it.
I've never even heard of D&D.
You're right.
What is that?
Exactly. Yes, on today's episode of SOFTalk, we are doing a deep dive into the campaign. Oh, I can't say that. That's actually from another thing. The campaign before the podcast. I was going to say the campaign before the campaign, but there's something else that does that.
Not a D&D podcast.
Not a D&D podcast. Not a D&D podcast, just something else entirely.
Something completely different.
But, yes. So, there's a lot of questions that come up because our story takes place after a fully formed D&D campaign.
Oops.
That we have put about, I guess, at this point, we had put like 2 years into it?
Like
a year and a half?
Before we started podcasting, yeah.
Yeah. So this is something that's been long awaited. We've done a couple Q&As that have addressed some questions from there, but we want to do a talk, something more definitive. That way we can just refer to people and just be like, this is what happened. Go watch this SOFTalk to figure out what happened.
I realized we always answered questions like in our Discord. If you'd like to join our Discord, please click the link in the description.
Very good.
In our Discord, we've answered questions, or like on tavern stages that we do in our Discord, if you'd like to join, and like
very nice community.
Our Twitch streams and stuff like that. And so when people ask me the same question, I'm like, oh, we've answered this. And I'm like, how would they know?
I know.
Where are they
gonna go back and watch our Twitch stream from 5 months ago?
And if you think about it, even this SOFTalk could be like supplementary like material. So it's like we're gonna try to like explain the most necessary things in game so that people don't have to listen to like the extra stuff. But if you're here, then you're gonna know a lot more. Congratulations.
Woo, welcome.
Before we continue, it's important to note that this is not a spoiler-free talk. We're going to try and warn before each question if it will contain a spoiler for a certain episode, as well as what episode that would be, that sort of thing, before we get into it. Overall, we're not trying to spoil the entirety of the show or give away exactly what's happening or that sort of thing, but also keep in mind that this is a conversation that I'm having with my good friends here, and not just a Q&A of where I will ask a question, they'll answer it, that sort of thing. Sometimes they're going to ask me to clarify some stuff that happened in the campaign that's going on, that sort of thing. But for the most part, we're going to be trying to stick towards the theme of before the podcast started, what happened to the Strings of Fate, how did they form, etc., etc. Sound good, everyone?
Yeah, sounds great.
Sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome. Then let's start there. Every adventuring party has a meeting point, and this first question is, how did your characters meet? And what were they doing in that location? And this is a difficult question.
Oh man.
How did we get here? So
How did we get
start?
here?
how did this happen? Well, if we take a gander back about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Not in game. In game it was probably like how long?
In game was probably like a year before. Like
Couple
a year
months.
before. No, not technically, but it's a little less than a year. Is where the Strings of Fate met and formed and faced everything. A little bit less than a year. You're coming up on it.
Damn.
If we're looking at it timeline-wise, probably the first people to meet were Azzurum and Lidara.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, y'all met before session 1.
we did.
Yeah, we did.
We were
Y'all-
traveling
Y'all never
together.
explained it. I don't
In
think.
game?
I don't know that I
don't know if we
knew.
ever had a origin stories
Yeah.
It's
Strings
because
of Fate
it-
origins.
It wasn't that
like,
deep.
It wasn't. It was like we just kind of. I think I wrote it. I just came up with it randomly, and I was like, "How does this sound? Do you like that?" And we were like, "Sure, that works."
But think about it. I mean, like we could do a critical something does.
Not a D&D podcast.
and we does and publish it as comics make them pay for it to learn their origin story, that sort of thing.
We're like, haha, yeah, that sounds great. Never mind. Moving on.
No, we can talk about it. It's not that
I
deep.
think it'd be cool to see like at some point like into your past, like flesh out that story a little bit more about Azzurum and Lidara meeting.
Basically, it was like just happened by like traveling through this like one city, I think, and like they happened to run into each other on a job. Like Lidar was doing like a job, I think.
I think we were both like going after the same person.
Yeah, we happened to be going after the same person, and so I think what happened was Lidar was like chasing this person, and then Azzurum like caught the person, and Lidar was like, "Who the fuck are you?" And they just happened to be like, "Oh, we're trying to get the same person," and then it just like started like traveling together.
It was only right before we got to Ciniath.
Yeah, it wasn't
like we had like
crazy.
months and months of development.
No, it was
like a
very
week
like,
before.
oh, you're going to the same place? Okay, I guess we'll walk together. I don't know.
I mean, that's pretty good. I like that a lot. I like that story a lot. So you both met before. Vincent, you came alone to
Yeah,
Ciniath.
he was just in the city, and then was in the yawning portal, the tavern, and was just sitting alone until he got bothered enough to join. I also remember us struggling for like an hour to actually start talking to each other in character.
Have interactions at all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because all of our characters are like, no, I'm gonna stay in my business.
Yeah. Also, it was kind of awkward because it was like the first session that me and Mikayla had ever played of D&D.
Right.
So it was like, I don't really know how I'm supposed to go about doing this. But like, I mean, my character's cold, so she's not gonna talk to anyone.
Yeah. And also-
Azzurum was actually also cold.
Yeah.
He originally,
It was
he's
different.
not anymore. It's quite warm, actually.
He's quite hot.
He's red hot at
Actually,
that
kind of
point.
hot per se.
Could you imagine a situation in which, like if Azzurum was the way he is now back then, like how different our first meeting would have gone?
Oh, completely different. I feel
Completely
like.
different.
He, like sat down at Vincent's table and be like, "Hey, bud, wanna hang out?"
He's like, hey, what are you doing tonight?
It's it was basically corralling sheep together. I mean, we had the pretty standard start in a tavern, you all don't know each other, get to know each other for an hour, and then we'll go on an adventure sort of thing. But it was so hard.
He's like pulling teeth. Sorry about that. I did make Vincent kind of a bitch.
We never had like a chance to talk about what our characters were like. So
Yeah.
like 30 minutes into it, I was like, oh my god, they'll make characters that don't want to talk to each other. And neither of them know. They're all like, I don't want to. My character wouldn't talk to the other characters, and they're all sitting there thinking
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It's okay. We eventually
We
got
worked
past
through
it.
it. We did.
Eventually,
We had a job.
some things burst through like the hole in the yawning portal from like the Undermountain. Monsters. I think it was like a troll and some sturges. This is actually an important point.
Sturges.
Oh my gosh. Spoilers for episode 21 of SOFTpod right now.
No way.
The Sturges.
Yeah.
The thing you faced is a giant version of those
right.
things.
Oh shit.
What's a sturge?
It's like they're like
Sturges.
flesh,
The
the
fleshy
fleshy, the
bat.
things that I made the noise of where you were like, oh Jesus.
Yeah.
The fleshy bat things.
So we would know what those are.
So you would know, yeah.
Oh my God.
It
That's
just never
crazy.
came up, that sort of thing. But you probably wouldn't have seen them in like that huge. You only ever saw them when they came out of the Undermountain. But
Yeah. I remember you used D4s for those when we were fighting them.
yeah, they
Brought
were
back up a very, very.
visceral image of,
Yeah.
of us playing around the table with D4s, me trying to figure out how to play.
Yeah.
Oh wow. It's all coming back.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
You met up with a very what's the word I'm looking for? Not amiable. I had the word braggadocious word down. Like
Is that
but I'll
even
just
a
say
word?
like just the fucking jackass character Volo
Piece of shit.
that came up and gave you a job. That job was to save someone named Floon, who gets clowned on to this day in our podcast.
Sorry.
His name
And,
is Floon. I'm sorry.
to all our viewers
bad
named
name.
Floon out there.
Bad name.
Sorry, the floons.
Sorry
out
to you
there.
Floons.
I'm sure
for
there are
your
Floon
name.
stands out there
Floon
too.
lovers.
Sorry, guys.
You're valid. It's okay.
Call Woods to the Coast. I didn't name Floon. Floon Blagmare.
Ooh,
Yes.
even worse.
You went to go save Floon. Instead, you found Renair, who looked like Floon.
Disappointment, yeah.
Disappointed because disappointed. You found Renair, met Renair there, and from there on out, things just kind of spiraled. I'm pretty sure.
And here we are.
Volo didn't pay you, gave you a house.
Gave us a whole house.
Screw that guy. We bullied him into giving us a house because he couldn't pay us.
Bullied
Yeah,
you
he
into
wasn't gonna
giving-
give us anything.
Why
Yeah.
couldn't he pay us?
He didn't have.
Yeah, he
the-
just
didn't have
didn't
money.
I don't
Or at
believe
least
that.
he didn't.
Well, I don't think that
he didn't have the money.
I feel like,
Yeah,
I feel like he
exactly.
himself, the person who was sitting there, I think he had money.
Yeah.
I
I
just
mean,
feel like
yeah,
he had like a
he had money,
submarine.
but
He had like
he
a whole
also needed a,
submarine.
you know,
Was he trying
that
to-
we're
was he
about to
trying to,
get into
Well,
something. But basically, you were given a house. House turned out to be haunted.
It was fun.
Haunted by vengeful ghosts.
spooky,
Needed to figure out who killed these ghosts. It just took you on like a wild journey and like put you through Ciniath, basically, which was just us trying to figure out how to keep a D&D campaign going for like 1.5 years.
Yeah, all we maintained in this city. We only went out of the city like twice.
Yeah.
yeah, literally.
Only
We
twice.
did so much.
Yeah.
We discovered like we went to like every single place.
I feel like we
That's
were
pretty
in
distinct.
Ciniath for so long. I could role play like us walking down the street and be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna make a left at the
Right?
store, and that's
Right?
how I get to
Oh, we're gonna go to
Renair's
the-
house."
I used to name, just straight up streets and addresses and where people
Yeah.
used to be and live and that sort of thing.
Rick and Avi's place.
Embrick and
I
Avi,
love Embrick and Avi. I miss them so much.
Dude,
the original Genasi neighbors.
they're married and in
Incredible.
love. I love them. I
Married
miss them.
couple. To push on a little bit, rewinding back to that first you meeting each other moment. Another question here is, what was the party's first impressions of each other besides I don't want to talk to this person? You know,
Huh.
I think it took a while for Vincent to actually like anyone, like at all. I think Azzurum in the beginning was a lot different than now. So like his first impression of Azzurum was a lot different than I think people would think. I think he thought he was like kind of a dick, kind of like straightforward. I don't know. They butt heads a lot, I think, in the beginning.
I think they still butt heads a lot.
Yeah, kind of.
but it's in an endearing way now. Back then it was like, oh jeez, they
Like I don't.
They
They
used
hate
to like
each
fight.
other.
Yeah,
Vincent's punched Azzurum in the face before.
he has.
When was
I think that Azzurum deserved it though.
I think that Azzurum's a cool cat, and he didn't deserve it. So.
Cool cat.
When did you punch
that was when
Azzurum?
he came back from the long break he took.
Ah,
Oh, it was
Vincent
a
was mad
vacation.
Yeah.
about that because he
Little
left and he didn't
a
tell us
little
where,
vacation.
where he went or why. And Vincent was mad about it. It was out of affection and love because he was like, I can't believe you did that to us. We care about you so much. Here's a knuckle sandwich.
Very fair. Very fair.
Lidara, I don't know. I think that he. I don't know what first impressions, but I know it didn't take him long to be like, you know what, Lidara's just got some issues, and like I'm going to just be nice to her because I think she deserves to be,
That's nice.
for someone to be nice to her for once.
Yeah, I think Lidar's impression of Vincent was that she was like, I'm not gonna push anything. He obviously wants to be kept to himself, and I don't care enough to push anything right now.
Yeah.
Until, they got closer. And she's like, well, now you're my friend. And now I'm like, what's your issues?
What's your deal?
What's your damage?
What's
And then for Azzurum, it was like very cocky, but he can save her if need be. I think that she was he is someone that she would be like, yeah, I think he would help me in a fight. I think that
Yeah.
he would.
Strong.
He's strong, and I don't think that he would try to stab me in the back or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But what if he did?
Yeah.
What if he did though?
What if he did though?
That's the question.
There's still time.
It's only time.
Azzurum, you have something to say for yourself?
Azzurum, the floor is yours.
I think that, I'm not gonna lie, I don't have a strong memory of first impressions of the characters, mostly because it took a while for me to develop Azzurum to a point to think what he would think.
No, honestly, I completely agree. This is like me saying, like, this is what I think that she thought back then based on what I know now.
Yeah, I think that from like early impressions was Lidara has like some issues that she like wants to talk about but doesn't want to talk about.
I also used to play her a lot differently than I probably
I remember
would
in the
now.
very beginning, Lidar used to be really closed off about
Yeah,
things,
and it used
Azzurum
to.
would be the only one who would actually like push
Yeah,
it.
because it was like, it always came off as like for Azzurum, like, oh, you want to talk about it so bad, just talk about it.
Talk about it.
Like, you know, I think there was a couple times that he's been like, why the fuck you're obviously upset. He did it in the podcast. He's like, you're obviously upset about something. Why do you want to fucking talk about it? You're trying to mope around it. That was kind of
That's how they started getting close, because I think that Lidar and Azzurum for a while are like closer than Vincent was to either one of them.
Vincent. His first impression of Vincent was kind of similar, except Vincent didn't talk about it, and so he was just kind of like, this dude's got some issues. And then watching the whole Renair thing unfold, Azzurum was like, dude's really got some issues.
Oh, no.
It was like, I was like, you guys like each other.
Yeah, it was so obvious.
Yeah, no, I remembered the interactions and me being like, I need to start thinking of reasons why these people are roommates, because you were roommates first, then party members, then friends. In that order.
Took a while.
It was like you did jobs with each other, you lived in the same house, which was like a tavern,
Yeah.
which someone asked about, and then slowly you started to develop that into friendship through your trials and tribulations through Ciniath, which there were a lot of. It'd be a little too much to go through each and every one of them like right now, but just to kind of list off like a summary. I mean, Azzurum's faced off against a basilisk by himself, just a giant lizard beast that could petrify and turn things into stone.
That's fun.
You all delved into a madhouse of some kind of demon's creation for our Halloween special episode.
Oh my god, that was crazy.
The
And by
most
awful,
stressful.
I mean great. It was. You
It
know,
was extremely stressful and horrifying
scary.
as an episode.
Very freaky episode.
Softies, I hope you're ready for our Halloween episode this year, because I'm sure Christian is going to lose his fucking mind.
Oh my god, that's gonna be so
I've said this
good.
before. I think if it was up to Christian, we'd play a horror podcast.
It's- we've definitely had a lot of things happen. We're mostly probably going to stick around to, there's like I almost say like a halfway point with our campaign where like it hits and then the actual story like kicks in until the very last
The overarching-
boss fight.
Yeah.
I think in my notes it was like around like session 28 is when that kicked in, like the final arc of our last campaign. So we'll stick around that area. For those of you that don't know, we started with the Waterdeep Dragon Heist module, quickly diverted from that because I don't like reading and I don't like following books.
There's the truth.
So I changed a bunch of characters. A bunch of characters are way more important than they are in the book. Deville Starsong is one of them. Renair Neverember is the other one. Both of them are not completely unimportant, but like they have much smaller roles in the module than they do in the actual game. But speaking of those two in particular, let's start with how did Vincent and Renair meet?
Oh
we
my
touched on it a little bit
gosh.
earlier. It wasn't a chance like bump into each other at a coffee shop thing. It was more like
no meet cute.
man's tied up in a back room surrounded by big crow people.
Yeah, it was on that mission that we were trying to save Floon, and we found him, and we were like, "Oh, you're not him." He's like, "No, but he's my friend. I want to help." get him back, and so we like fought with him, and that was when we were like, oh, this man can fight.
Can't fight.
He saved our ass so many times.
I know, he's so many natural 20s,
So many.
so many.
The look that I was shot from across the table.
The
somewhere.
hand itself.
I think Christian really messed up when he said that Renair was handsome, and that was like when it all started going downhill for me.
That was the start
Little
of the
did I
end.
know what those words would spawn.
Yeah, I know. This is what you've done.
The legacy.
Started there.
It's the himbofication of Renair Neverember, stealing it away from Wizards of the
I
Coast.
hit him with the himbofication beam.
He just-
I remember we started having him around more often because he fought good, and then also you said that he was handsome, and all of us were like, hey.
We're like, oh my god, hey.
There was a point where like I remember us being in a tavern, all of us hanging out. For some reason, Renair was there. I think it was in the Yawning Portal. And Azzurum was like, so what are you into? And everybody was like, yeah, Renair, what are you looking for? You know, romance,
You know,
etc.
what's your deal, dude?
I was like, oh my god, everybody. Yeah, that's they, you know, kind of started as like he just comes around with the friend group and then starts fighting with us, and then all of a sudden, Vincent was like, I think he's kind of attractive.
You get into like scrapes and stuff. Or he showed up at just random stuff. He was there
Yeah.
with a housewarming gift.
Yeah, he was.
When you all moved in.
Yeah.
You met him while he was like undercover with the Harpers.
Yep.
When you were investigating whatever the vengeful ghosts in your house were after.
Yep. He was in that what was it called? The House of Purple Silks?
Yeah, House of Purple Silks, like a fest hall.
He was in the House of Purple Silks.
I remember-
He wasn't going after what you were going after. He was
Yeah.
going after Xanathar and everything.
Yeah, I just remember him fighting really good in that and being like, I guess we have to keep him.
I know, because then we would be like,
around.
oh, we should like ask Renair for help. Because Renair is strong. And
Yep.
we are small.
Vincent was like, for no other reason.
just because of
No
that.
other
Because he's
reason.
a good fighter.
Yeah, Renair is now a staple of the podcast, along with another character that shows up more infrequently because he's not physically there.
Well,
But his voice makes an appearance a few times. Let's talk about DeVille. DeVille Starsong, who
Baby boy.
some people say is Davil, which is not something that I'm going to continue with. So I'm going to go with DeVille. Davil? Sounds like Neville.
It's Cruella DeVille.
Cruella Davil.
Davil.
Dabble?
Dabble.
Dabble is significantly less attractive. No offense to all the dabbles
All
out
the
there.
Davils out there. DeVille's first contact with the party was not Azzurum. It was Lidara.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
You got a letter from Davil. No, sorry, from DeVille.
Yes, I did.
Via
I'm gonna
Wizard
just like
Snake.
bleep it out every time you say it.
Yeah. And people would be like, what is he saying? I've never bleeped
cursing them
anything out in this podcast. Because you had some connection to DeVille, which we'll get into in a moment.
Unfortunately so, yes.
Unfortunately so. He was originally just a guy that gave you all jobs.
Yeah.
At what point did you start sort of seeing DeVille as like a character that would, I don't know, that you wanted to keep around as more than just like a guy that gives you jobs?
I mean, I think from the get-go, Azzurum definitely was physically attracted to him. Also was physically attracted to Renair at some point. But Azzurum just physically attracted to people.
To a lot of
Things
people,
have
yeah.
It's the first thing he noticed. But DeVille spent a lot of time being stressed, and DeVille spent a lot of time like organizing all of the whole everything that he had to do. Like there was a whole like separation.
Yeah, network.
Yeah.
Without getting into the lore of it. That kind of goes into, Lidara was part of a group called the if you don't mind me saying, I don't think it's a spoiler at this point. I think most people
No.
know. But you were part of a group that was connected to a larger network of people that are considered like criminals called
Yep.
the Zentarum. And the Zentarum recently, usually they're mostly disconnected. There's no like one leader of everything, but there had been like a split where that was changing, and DeVille was one of the only people who was like, I don't like this. I don't like that there's going to be a leader. In fact, I'm going to oppose it. And because he was the only one, he was very much outnumbered.
Yeah, and seeing how much DeVille cared, and also that his morals weren't, that he wasn't like a bad person, because from the get-go a lot of the assumption was that DeVille was just a slimy, like, bad guy, but at the end of the day, he just the things he wanted were good.
There were mixed emotions between the party members.
Yeah, and I think that
This man.
Azzurum like respected him a lot, but also was like kind of worried. He found himself like being like wanting to help him and wanting to relieve stress or help him with jobs. There was which I'm sure we'll probably talk about later in this, but there was a specific job that when it went south that DeVille had given us, that Azzurum was the one who went and told him. And I think that was like one of the first times that Azzurum like actively went out of his way, because he was trying to protect DeVille's feelings, and he wanted to like he didn't want to be like, yeah, fuck you, like this happened because of this and this. He like actually was worried about him and his reaction, and so he wanted to tell him himself.
An aspect of Azzurum and DeVille's relationship that we haven't talked about on the show, and I don't know if it have any real thing to like a reason for it to come up, but Azzurum isn't very versed in like long-term relationships, especially long-term long-distance relationships.
How's he doing?
Long-term long distance
relationships. How is Azzurum doing in that sense? Like what is that?
What's he doing?
If you have
What's
put
his
any
thought
thought into
process?
it for Azzurum, like there's been like inklings that like I haven't been doing on purpose, but have been gleaned by the audience, have been like joked about by the cast, where a lot of attractive members of like NPCs and stuff show up and they set their sights on Azzurum, and like they flirt, etc., that sort of thing.
Azzurum has always used flirting and has always used things adjacent to flirting as a way of getting further in his quest and getting information, and
As like a manipulation.
yeah, as a
tactic.
manipulation tactic, and also just doing whatever he wants, you know, his rebellious phase. So that was the biggest difference between his relationship with DeVille and his relationship with every other attractive person, is that it was the first person that he actually like romantically cared about like deeply. And it was, he doesn't really know how to deal with those emotions. He doesn't really know, he's kind of scared of having people super close because he's scared of like hurting them. So that's definitely a fear. I know it comes up a lot because sometimes it may come off as Azzurum is flirting with other NPCs that come up, and Azzurum isn't like, it's not that he's forgotten about DeVille. I know that's always like a running joke, is that like, they're like, oh,
You got a man.
You got a man. It is honestly just one of Azzurum's like go-to tactics of getting information and getting far. It's part of, it's what he considers one of the most charming parts of him, something that he's confident in. So there will be times that it may come off like that, but it's not actually like that.
Yeah.
It's very fair. And on the flip side, DeVille is older than Azzurum by
70
a bit.
years.
Elves.
Well, yeah.
Elves, man.
Yeah, elves, but DeVille is very experienced in relationships, especially long term.
Oh my god, yeah.
This is something that has never come up. He had a partner who died a long time ago while he was out adventuring with them.
Damn.
Like
Forgot about
That's right.
he lost a partner, and kind of pull back the screen there. Like you can infer a lot that a lot of DeVille's worries come from like losing somebody that important to him again, that sort of thing.
Bring DeVille back.
So
Can we talk about the Lidara for the ship?
Oh God, that's a train wreck.
There was like a solid 2 sessions that before Azzurum had like asserted that he was definitely interested in Deville, that Lidara was also.
Well, I don't know about that.
Lidara was having. We've talked about Lidara a bit on like streams and such and like Q&As. People have asked the question of when's it Lidara's turn? When does Lidara have a ship? And I think Michelle, you had a pretty good answer. We've talked about like how Lidara feels. Like,
Yeah,
what would you say?
Well, regarding the DeVille situation, that was a Michelle. That was a Michelle doesn't know how to play D&D, and Michelle wants to have a romance in her D&D. So that was her and DeVille do not get along, so that would have never worked out no matter what.
You're like, scrap that from the record that Lidara was never interested.
Yeah, let's just say she was never interested. She doesn't like her that much. But she has a complicated relationship with relationships, specifically because of Kale, her little
The bastard.
that bitch.
That
Hate him.
bitch.
Most hated person.
Not even a villain, just
But honestly though, like,
dude.
kind of deserved.
It is deserved. He
Really,
was
for not being a villain, he's fucking awful.
on the record. Kale, old love interest to Lidara from her backstory,
Yes.
showed back up on a mission that was against Lidara's party at the time. Didn't realize it would be Lidara. Still stabbed her. knowing.
Still stabbed her and almost killed her anyway.
Chose the mission over Lidara, and then tried to get into Lidara's good graces when they rescued him all those times back.
He
Slimy.
tried to apologize.
So many times.
So many times.
He tried to get me to go with him.
Yeah.
The
to
fucking gall.
rejoin the
Nerve.
Blood Knights.
To look you in the eyes and ask you to go with him.
I know. He really said like, hey, so like you're just like really like powerful and like strong and like I just think that like you would
Like,
be
we really had
we like really had to be and like honestly like I still have feelings for you and like blah blah blah. And she was like, first of all, no. Second of all,
No.
what?
You
No.
think I'm crazy.
Yeah, right.
I think I am.
So she does have a complicated relationship with having emotions like that towards people. She doesn't like want that. I mean, like she isn't like completely opposed to having someone close in her life anymore like that, but she is definitely scared of it. She has had like other people in her life shortly, but like nothing that she could really trust. And she gets a lot of anxiety around like romantic things.
Yeah.
A lot of trauma there with
Yeah.
her,
Yeah.
like the one person that
Yeah.
she was like really trusted, that was like she thought like, well, no matter what, at least I still have them, like I still have this person. Christian, do you feel bad?
Man.
Do you
No,
have a guilty conscience
not at
about
all.
it?
Not at all. Not even a little bit, because she'll have a redemption arc one day and it'll
It's a-
be
Exactly. It's a big setup to something great one day.
one
but
day.
it's
But
a bit
it's gonna take a hot second because she is not seeking that. So
Not interested.
if someone else is, they're gonna have to try real hard.
I'm going to try very, very hard. Let's back up because we've talked about relationships a bunch. Let's back up a little bit more to just straight up information. Let's jump forward past your first few months in Ciniath, through the terrifying madhouses, through the travels up north, the betrayals, all that stuff. Let's start over at important NPCs that we haven't talked about. Is there anyone that you can think of that this person basically asked, is there any important NPCs who haven't been brought up on podcasts? Because NPCs like Vajra have been brought up, but never fully discussed as to what her role was, which is just full Archmage of Waterdeep, or I guess Ciniath now.
I think there are a few.
There are a few.
Yeah.
There's some that are like our allies, but there are also some important NPC villains that are still part of our stories that have not been resolved, that I think were pretty prominent in the
There
pre-podcast.
definitely
Sure.
are.
I think
This is actually a bigger conversation that we should talk about. Is there are, and I'd like to take a moment to remind you of them, if you can. But I want to know which ones you all remember that are still out there and kicking.
Garrick. Oh, the ones that are alive.
Garrick.
villain specifically Garrick. I think
Garrick
I'm definitely worried about.
Definitely scared about that one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Don't like that.
Super bad.
Anyone having to do with the Swords of Fortune.
Yeah, basically.
I'm
Yeah.
nervous.
Swords of Fortune. We'll discuss that in a second. I think those are kind of the big ones, but
Yeah.
you have to remember, this is like a reminder thing. Garrick had like people that followed his like every word to a T. You killed. There were 4 of them.
Did we want to describe who Garrick was?
Yeah. So let's talk about Garrick for a second. Yeah. This is tied to
about
Lidar's backstory.
Hey, everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, why don't let's start with your history with Garrick.
Well, Garrick, okay. So, taking it back to when Lidara was still with her guild, because she was exiled shortly after this event.
Is this stuff that we all know? Like, I'm pretty sure we all know.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone
all
knows
of the
Garrick
characters
stuff.
know. Yeah.
She basically,
Sorry, can you give a timeline just so people know? Like, how long ago was this? How old was she when she was exiled?
so this probably happened when she was like 18. She's 21 now, for context. And she ended up going off on her own because her main goal was always to find the people who had murdered her whole village, basically, when she was a child. And she had heard from someone that they were in the woods near her, where her camp was in her guild. So she decided to go on her own and try and find them. And she, in doing that, came across a guild of warlocks. And that happened to be where she met Garrick Landstone.
Garrick Landstone, leader of a guild of warlocks that all come from different patrons, by the way. Invictus Tome. They don't all follow one patron, which is very interesting for warlocks. Usually they're like a cult that all worships one demon or whatever, that sort of thing. But Garrick Landstone, very prominent. It's been fucking with the strings of fate. The first instance in conflict with DeVille is because DeVille hired Garrick.
Yeah.
Yes, he
That's
did.
why we all hated him, DeVille for so long.
That's why Lidar did not like him.
But there was also
Vincent didn't like him
DeVille
because
did not.
of that.
DeVille had no idea exactly as to the goings on of Invictus Tome. Just for clarification, didn't know that they slaughter whole villages. They just knew that they were members of the Zentarum and that they were members that were willing to help him, like in this desperate struggle against this overarching force. But you were saying?
this was also because basically what happened was Garrick was hired by DeVille, and everyone didn't like him because Lidara explained to us everything, but this was before the party knew that Azzurum was a warlock.
Yeah.
The party didn't know for a very long time that Azzurum was a warlock.
Never asked about it. Never
until he came back from his little journey. He came back from his soul searching. The party did not know.
Vincent just assumed he was like a sorcerer and just didn't want to ask about it. He was like,
And so Azzurum did not have the same disdain for warlocks because he was kind of like, oh, I kind of get it. He's like, oh, I kind of. And so it wasn't like that. During that time, Azzurum was the only one who liked DeVille.
yeah.
And that was part of the reason and
And-
part of his reasoning.
For good reason. I mean, DeVille in his desperation was actively working with somebody who is a source of a lot of trauma for Lidara.
Yeah, she definitely has a great discomfort in regards to warlocks.
Yeah.
Sorry, Azzurum.
First, that first job that you were sent on with a member of Invictus all the way up north was the same one that you were attacked by Kale on. So it's like strike two right
Just
there.
a double whammy.
But that member that you went with was Dresden.
I love that dude.
I love Dresden.
Dresden's
I
very
miss
cool. Dresden's
I love him.
fantastic. A member of Invictus, so everyone was very wary, but it's discovered slowly down the path that his goal is to rise the ranks of Invictus, gain enough power to one day kill Garrick himself.
Very similar to Lidara.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
have
didn't he have...
He was doing it from
He
the
had the
inside.
exact like same.
His village was
Reasoning.
also like taken out, that sort of thing. with
They really
his
bonded over
community.
that.
Azzurum kept bugging him because he never talked the
Yeah.
whole time.
Yeah.
Azzurum bugged him a lot because Azzurum didn't know anything about being a warlock.
Yeah.
He literally knows nothing still really about being a warlock. And so whenever he met Dresden, he'd be like, psst, hey.
He would ask him
Yeah.
questions a lot.
Yeah, a lot of
He'd be
questions.
like, hey, so like,
I was like, so what are you writing?
I'd be like, so what are you writing about?
Do
So,
I have to
like,
do that?
Mm-hmm.
He was like, what do you dream about?
I saw you fight. How did you do that?
So in terms of important NPCs, we've got Vajra, we've got Dresden, we've got Garrick, who's a big one. Garrick, circling back around to my other question, this is like surprise trivia.
No.
You were hunting down, there was 4 like lieutenants of Garrick that went by like the
Couldn't
different
name a single
hands
one
of like the hands of Garrick basically. There were 4 of them.
Yeah.
You remember what they were?
No,
I'll
I
look them
couldn't
up.
name a single one of them.
Because you killed 3 of them.
Oh, shit.
Oh my god, no.
Of
Of course we only killed 3 of them and not 4.
I don't know.
And this is
Was Hydrus one of those? I don't know. Was it?
Hydrus wasn't. Hydrus was just working.
Yeah.
We'll get into that in a second.
Okay.
Working with them. But there's the Hand of Flame, who you fought in the final battle. Tiefling, red Tiefling woman.
Oh, yeah.
Shit. Oh yeah.
Before that battle, you faced the Hand of Slaughter, who attacked you, who was part of the attack on all the
Slaughter.
villages.
Yes.
Yeah, and I had a contract out against.
It was discovered that the Hand of Slaughter has the exact same patron as your patron, as Azzurum's patron, but also that the way that the Hand of Slaughter chose, Garrick always thought, like, just to give you like a deep dive, Garrick always thought, because this is information that'll never come back up, that the Hand of Slaughter was able to tell where a new warlock would be formed if a village was placed under an attack like that. In reality, Hand of Slaughter was choosing that place because usually a target for the mistress was in the village.
What? That's crazy.
And so he would just use that as an opportunity to do that, which was something that came up, but it was never fully able to dive into because we were doing like a 6-hour session.
Wow.
And the last one was the Hand of Execution, which you faced. He was placed in charge of creating like the flesh golems in the warehouse. It was your first like big contract. There's one more.
Oh no. This one on
I'll
the
tell
list.
you their name. Was the Hand of Persuasion, which is a warlock who deals specifically in deception and influence on the mind
Oh,
and
God.
disguising,
Oh, God.
and disguising themselves.
Oh,
no.
God.
No.
Oh, God.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
geez.
mostly are, like, you were given all this information by Dresden, so this information your characters know, but this warlock specialty was to infiltrate, like, communities and, like, mess with local government and, like, mess with places for
Everyone.
Garrick.
All right.
So,
All right.
Okay.
Okay. well, good to
continuing
know.
onward.
All right.
So you've got 2 villains that are, like, still at large. Garrick and the Hand of Persuasion, who you've never even seen the Hand of Persuasion pre-campaign. Like, that's just how it goes. But they have the potential to just show up because you've left them kind of to roam.
Yeah, they do. They really do.
But push onward. I don't know if there's any other villains besides the one episode 19 and 20 spoilers that has reemerged from pre-campaign that everyone wants to know about. Our good friend Jarl Axel Bonwy.
Yeah, baby.
Yes.
I love
So
that purple dude.
Oh, also Swords of Fortune, but that's
and the
another
Swords
thing.
of Fortune. The Swords
That'll
of Fortune.
be a fun thing for later.
They're coming up. They're coming
The
up.
Swords of Fortune pre-podcast, we still don't know that much about. Like, as players, like, we still don't.
There have been 2 instances
Yeah.
that they came up and it didn't end good either
Yeah.
time.
As players, you don't know much about who they are. You know, basically only that they're like, they used to be a prominent adventuring group that all have their own lives now, like that sort of thing. But why
of
everything's
them.
happening.
Two
No,
of
no,
them.
2 of them don't have their lives anymore.
Whoops.
Thanks to a certain member of our party, but
On accident.
that's also on accident, not
Wasn't
his
Not
fault.
Liddy. So.
Not his fault. But so let's talk about
Yarlaxle.
So we brought up Volo a long time ago. Why Volo couldn't pay you all, why Volo had such an interest in a bunch of upstarts who seemed to be able to throw gears into both the Zentarum and the Xanathar Guild. Volo, from the very beginning, was in fact Yarlaxle, who had been in the city for a very long time, posing as a book author by the name of Volothamp Gedarm. And Yarlaxle has been slowly pushing the party towards being better adventurers and doing stuff so that he can get what he wants, all the way to the main object of everyone's affection, the contents of the Vault of Dragons. So let's talk about Yarlaxle.
Yarlaxle.
How y'all feel about Yarlaxle, our good friend?
I think he's pretty cool. Honestly,
bitch.
I like him.
No, I think as a character, myself, I think he's funny and interesting. He's like, when he comes around, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a good scene.
He's so funny.
But Vincent hates his guts. Vincent wants to take him out back and kill him.
Yarlaxle never fell in like a straight up like evil good. I always saw him
Yeah.
as like a gray
Yeah.
area
Morally
in terms
gray.
of that sort of thing. I wouldn't even consider him
Won't kill
a
your
villain.
family, but like I guess
well,
if like
what
they
he-
have to, like they have to.
He
you
did
know?
actually threaten to kill a family.
Yeah, and he was like, I don't want to,
money.
but like I will if I have to. It's
Yeah,
basically
I
this
feel
thing.
like I will.
I like will, but like I don't
Exactly what
morally
he
want
said.
to. That's exactly. I'm
I
like,
don't want to. Yeah.
you know. Thanks for that one, Yarlaxle.
He's
He's been with us for so long.
The first time we found out about him was he was disguised as Renair.
Yes, you
Vincent found
noticed
out.
like a Renair acting strange.
Yeah.
Tried to follow him. He disappeared. You found from an outside source like who.
Well,
like,
he went to talk to Renair at his house, and he was like, "Hey, are you okay? You seemed like off." And he was like, "What do you mean?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "You like earlier today, like just a few minutes ago." He's like, "I didn't see you a few minutes ago." And Vincent was like, "What?"
Oh.
And then we kind of figured it out from there.
Yeah, a wild point of contention that basically flowed out towards eventually meeting the drow pirate captain Yarlaxle Bunley, who basically wants the money in the Vault of Dragons for his own purposes, to advance a settlement that you all don't know a ton about, and he hasn't really talked about with each of you. But
And, honestly, I don't care.
yeah, but he wants that money. He wants that money for his people. He wants that. And you all agreed
Yeah,
to
we made
help
a
him
deal.
get it.
Yeah.
That we
We
did.
made a deal because we also didn't. I don't think at the time Vincent really knew much about like the vault or like how that money like got there or whatever. He was like, I don't really want money. Like I don't care about it. So like, sure, you can have it when we get in there. We need your help.
I also
But then later on, I think Vincent was like, no, this money doesn't belong to him.
part of the motivation of why we teamed up with Yarlaxle was also because the alternative at the same time, who was also trying to get into the vault, was Manchun.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
He was
And so
worse.
Manchun was trying to get into the vault, and we were trying to get Manchun to not get into the vault.
Yeah.
And Yarlaxle was trying to get into the vault, but Manchun was trying to take over the entire city and kill everyone. And Yarlaxle just wanted to buy some drugs. So
Yeah.
we were like, and so we were kind of like. I think in Yarlaxle, I think did he have a piece of it already? Like he had something.
Yarlaxle
He had-
had it, and so we have to now. Let's
Talk
go
about this.
rewind. Vault of Dragons, the collected, amassed, stolen wealth by Renair's father, Diggle Neverember,
Hate
from the
him.
people of Ciniath, including a ton of very priceless historical artifacts and magical artifacts that are powerful, all amassed in one place that only is accessible by Dagult or somebody who knows how to get to the vault. The only way to figure out how to get the keys or to get in is by having the Stone of Galore, which is a fleshy stone that has these 3 eye sockets that were empty when you first were looking for it. which you later found is inhabited by the soul of like an ancient creature known as an aboleth from the Underdark. And then Jarl Axel had one eye. You stole the stone and an eye from Manchun, who tyrannical fascist wizard that was trying to take over all of Waterdeep. And then you got the third eye from Xanathar after helping replace his fish. Who was dying.
I hated
The fish.
I'll let you know, I thoroughly hated it.
Clearly hated the fish side plot.
Not the fish
poor
side
fish.
plot.
The beholder crime lord and
We're
his
like, the
favorite fish.
city is on fire. We have to go fucking fishing.
The beholder crime lord's favorite fish is Ilgar. Yes.
It's funny.
But you got all three eyes. You said, Jarl Axel, once we deal with Manchun, we will get you into that vault and get you your money.
Yeah, we totally did tell him that.
And then
Yep.
what happened?
Then we found him. We saw him.
So basically what happened, and there's actually a recording of this
There
that we
is.
talked about incorporating into the episode to give some context, but due to some copyright issues,
Playing some super copyrighted music.
some super copyrighted music, maybe we'll drop a Google Drive link one day.
Yeah.
But there is basically he came up to us at the end of like our last session of the before we started podcasting and was like, "Good job, guys, with that whole saving the city thing.
Yeah.
Everything's settled.
So great.
So just hand over the stone and the eyes and we'll be good." And
We were like,
We were like, what are you
stone?
talking about?
genuinely in the moment, I don't know who started the like, what are you talking about? But I remember being like, haha, yeah, it's a joke. Like I
It was
wasn't, I
literally such a
literally was
joke.
being like, haha, yeah, whatever. And then I was like, yeah, we'll give it to him. But then everyone kept
well-
playing along, and
well,
that was
So like I said before, like Vincent's motivation before was like, I don't really care, you can have it. Like the alternative of the not getting the eyes, like, you know, bad news, so sure, you can do it. And then later on his motivation had changed, so he was like, no, I don't like Jarl Axel, I want him dead, and I don't want him to have this money, and also
when I'm dead.
he really does hate him.
Nice.
But he was like, I don't want him to have this money if I can help it. And so I think I was the one who started being like, I don't know what you're talking about, and everybody else was like going along with it, and I was like, no, I really, like, I'm not gonna give him this money.
Yeah, Azzurum 100% would have given it to him.
Yeah.
Azzurum
And I
does
think-
not care.
I think like that's a point of contention between like the other party members and Vincent's like morals, I guess, is like they're like they're like
Won't have them.
no, but they, like your moral compass, like Azzurum and Lidar's moral compass is more aligned to like, you know, as long as it doesn't hurt too many people, like yeah, it's fine, you know, it's not my business. And like Vincent is a little bit more like, I want to make sure that the right people have the right things and poor people have what they deserve, and you know. But I think it was like that, and then we started joshing on him real hard, and he got mad at us, pulled a gun on us.
You led him all the way to the yawning portal because you left the stone with Durnan to protect.
Yeah, Durnan.
And you don't know what, but Durnan and Jarl Axel have some kind of past, and they don't like each other.
Did they used to date? They exes?
Mom's a word.
God.
And Durnan used to be very, very well-seasoned adventurer. Jarl Axel's also been a very well-seasoned adventurer. They crossed paths at some point. Who knows what happened
Oh my
between the two.
God, no.
And Durnan was ready to swing with the greatsword, which Jarl Axel was able to get away, but not before making a pretty powerful enemy. Spoiler for episode, I think it's 19 of the podcast. Episode 19, the stone is back in the mix.
Yeah.
So what is that about?
I don't know. You're the one who knows it.
You know, like I just want to play around with the thought of like what is it? Why do you think? Like
Christian
why
just
would somebody
finally-
want to take this out of not only like not go to the Vault of Dragons because you haven't heard anything about it being open, but also take it out of Ciniath?
He just wants to finally know our theories.
I do actually.
We have a separate group chat without him.
I know. When they talk about theories, they don't tell me. It's sad.
Honestly, I have no idea. I have no idea why they would want to take it out of Ciniath completely, because I don't know what good it could do unless it can somehow open up multiple vaults in multiple areas, and it's like a
Little universal remote moment.
Yeah, it's a universal remote.
Yeah, like the universal remote, so you can hook up to like any TV.
Oh, yeah. Like a universal key to the house, you know? And I'm like...
Well, you gotta remember, like, it never even acted as a key to the Vault of Dragons. It was just like a storage of knowledge. Like, it was a creature that knew a lot of things. Because an aboleth, I wish I could have you all roll right now.
I mean, shit.
You want to roll? You can make a history check, or like a nature check, or like an arcana check.
Open up D&D Beyond right now.
Oh, you can roll a D&D Beyond, can't you?
What was it?
History or nature or arcana. One of the three, whichever's the highest.
Don't mind if I do.
Between the three. Just spontaneous roll. And this roll is brought to you by Dungeon Depths. Thank you, Dungeon Depths, for sponsoring us and helping us through everything with this podcast. It's been fantastic.
Did you say not a D20?
Yeah, no, D20.
Why
history,
would you...
History, religion.
I thought he said a D100. I don't know.
Shit.
History.
25.
28.
You would know that aboleths, the creature inside the stone, are creatures that existed way towards the beginning of Afra, like before even the realms were like split apart, like the planes were like split. Like aboleths were creatures that like were around when the gods walked Afra, etc. So it has the potential to have a lot of knowledge.
But for what?
For what?
That's the question. And also, like, who has it? Are they just like, are they trying to sell it, or do they have it for their own purposes?
They're just chilling.
So,
but otherwise, no one's got any theories they want to share. No theories.
No, I really don't have any theories.
At first, I thought that somebody might be selling it as like, I don't know, like a power play of like, well, if you give me this, I'll give you the keys to this big vault with all this money and power, or money and powerful objects and stuff. But now I don't really know.
That's all right.
I mean, it could have something to do with, you know, what's going on in Weldon right now, but I also don't necessarily know how, you know?
It's very fair.
Don't know who has it or why.
Yeah, I mean, when we like put the last eye in, isn't that when Lidar like talked to it, or like it like talked to
that's
her?
when it like reawoke basically.
And it knows a lot of information, so maybe like probably someone needs it to gain power to, you know, use it for bad, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Use it for bad.
Yeah,
Very fair.
It could be something that like we don't know about at all yet, and we'll figure it out. Like it's somebody else who we've never met before or whatever has it. But my thought was that, because I think Yarlaxle was tracking it, and he said that it was like in the area, and I think he meant in the ball? ?
Yeah, I think he did too.
So could have been somebody there, maybe Finnegan. I don't know.
Very fair.
Honestly, probably Finnegan.
Very fair.
When in doubt, it's probably Finnegan.
Probably Finnegan.
No, let's move away from the big plot stuff. Let's talk more about just side stuff, you know, little things to tie things around, kind of paint a picture. You lived in not only a house but a tavern, which you owned.
Yep. We're
Yeah.
little business owners.
Vincent didn't want to open the tavern. Vincent was like, no, I don't want people here in my house.
A money man named Mert came by and lent you the money to do so.
Another man that Vincent hates.
Not an important NPC, but somebody that everyone was mad at in one session. It was wild. Everyone incredibly upset at Mert the moneylender. But you reopened the tavern, you hired some employees. Let's see, what else? List off the employees. Ella, who was actually part of Yarlaxle's crew. Pearson, who was a kind of like a Durnan type character, who was just a kind of grizzled old chef.
Yeah.
That was really good cooking. Nazareth.
Nazareth.
A pure like white like ivory tiefling
Oh my
who
God.
had powers that allowed him to summon strange food from definitely not this plane of existence.
Maybe we should
Vincent-
contact him.
Vincent taught him how to speak common.
Yes, he was mostly where he came from. He was versed in Infernal, but not in Common. He had a lot of mystery to him, but he was just a bright tiefling
him.
looking to live his life out in the big city
Aww.
of Nazareth.
There's also Landon.
Landon. Mint green bowl cut looking kid, amazing at making drinks, but very, very, very nervous all the time.
Didn't he have like a little crush on Lidara or something?
He had a crush on someone. I don't know if it was Lidara.
I remember he I think that he did. I think it was Lidara.
Oh my god. I didn't know that.
And then I'm trying to think. There's and Gertruda, which was like an older dwarven lady that helped us.
Snarf.
And Snarf, the little
I can't
kobold.
forget Snarf.
Everyone liked, and except for
I hated
one
I hated
one
Snarf.
member of the party didn't like. Small kobold who really loved candles. These characters, just their base descriptions were not written by me. I was using a supplement at the time of people who were hiring people for Troll Skull Tavern, but they basically grew to be their own people after that. But otherwise, you all had a tavern. You all saved a city from a tyrannical wizard.
Like the whole city, yeah.
And the name of Manchun, the Iron Mask Man.
We never took his mask off when we killed him.
Never did. Never saw his face.
What if he didn't actually die? It wasn't actually him.
I did see his body fall into the astral sea.
But what if it wasn't him?
Good question.
I'm nervous now.
I would sure hope that it was, but
Dara shot that wizard in the face, or like through the chest, basically.
yep.
But his goal was kind of amorphous, like nondescript. It was just like, I'm gonna rule the city, sort of thing. You know, there was never like a real confirmation of, oh, what is Manchun trying to do? He was just
What's
like,
the dude
just
doing?
we thought
evil
just
for evil's
power, yeah.
yeah, just power hungry, evil for evil's sake. Your first appearance of like the real Manchun, because DeVille, basically, to wrap things back around, DeVille was afraid of Manchun taking control of the Zentarum and afraid of what that would bring, and that's why he was fighting so hard to stop it. And
Oh, hey, remember? Sorry, remember when Renair got kicked out of the Harpers?
yeah, there was in a group called the Harpers, and Vincent had a little run-in with a member of the Sword of Fortune, so the Harpers really liked.
Oh boy.
And
a
Renair took the
Gondor.
fall.
Man named Gondor. Oops.
Renair took a big fall for that one, when you
Oh my god, that was.
stabbed that guy a bunch.
Oh my god. For context for people listening, all the party really knows is that there have been 2 instances where Vincent has kind of gone rogue and attacked someone, and knew that it wasn't like him. He was under some sort of influence, but like he definitely killed 2 people.
Yes. Both of those people were members of the Swords of Fortune.
Oops, maybe that's connected. And then the Harpers came out and they were like, what is happening here? Because Azzurum opened up like a rift of tentacles or something that like hit the inside of the building.
Yeah, he did do that.
Oops.
Yeah. We had the joke that there's a guy just on the other side of the wall by like a water cooler, and all of a sudden he's in hell being beaten by tentacles. He's like, ah!
To be fair, with the Swords of Fortune, especially with the Gondor, that guy, he
Smelled.
was what?
He smelled.
Smelling
He did
stinky
smell.
Man.
He was stinky.
Stinky.
He was pursuing Vincent.
He was actively threatening Vincent at
Yeah.
all points in time,
And
making his life intentionally difficult.
Renair definitely wanted him dead anyway because of that. And Vincent was like, no, I just, I want him to leave. And then we tried to modify his memory. He figured it out. It was a whole battle. It's unfortunate.
Really unfortunate.
And
Very
then they were
unfortunate.
like, who did this? Renee was like, me. And I was like, no. You know, it was
And he
not
was
you.
like, yes.
And he was like, why are you trying to defend me, Vincent? And I was like, oh my God. It was great.
Renee took a big fall for that.
Good
Renee
job.
was like very recently wounded too. It was when you were picking him up from when Yarlaxle picked him up. And he
Yeah.
was wounded trying to fight off Zentarum members. So another thing for Yarlaxle to hold over you all is that he definitely saved Renee's life once.
Yeah.
Once. It's a monetary cost to him. But otherwise, I think we've just followed a bunch of like the little trails down the different memories that we have of the campaign. Let me take it way back. Strings of Fate. It's a name.
Sure is a
we use
name.
for our podcast, name we use for our adventuring party.
Yep.
People ask this a few times. Where does that name come from? When did we decide on it?
I can tell you exactly when. 1 second.
I pulled up the receipts. Well, we were like, I think Christian had mentioned to us like, hey guys, we should probably start thinking of like maybe like a name, you know, because most like parties like have like a name. We were like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, like the mighty beep
The mighty
or Vox beep
beep beep.
and that sort of thing.
You know? And then we just started like texting about it, throwing stuff back and forth. Mikayla, did you find that?
Yes, on
So it's some
October 30th, 2019.
Oh my
Wow.
god.
Christine said, I like the Strings of Fate.
Wow. What
You're
were
all
some
welcome.
runner-ups? Runner-ups.
That one was bad. I'm not saying that one.
Oh, God.
Somewhere. Okay, we're
We're all over the place.
There were
You
some
read
Latin
of
names
the-
in there.
I was gonna say, I was like looking for the Latin names, but I found, I'm gonna edit this out, but I found
What the
actually I'm just gonna bleep it out.
You should just beep it out.
Oh my
God. What the fuck?
That was my suggestion.
I'm not surprised.
Christine said the cucumbets.
That's a good one.
Okay, wait. I'm getting closer to what we actually chose the name.
Good.
Okay, actually we chose it on October 29th.
Okay.
Christian said, I'm just going to throw out some random party names for y'all when I think of them. Some options were the Songblades, Arms of Hadar,
Ooh, wow.
Sentience of the Soul,
Wow. Really
Damn.
intense.
We went in there.
Acta non verbra, which is Latin for something. Oh, it's Latin for actions, not words. If I just read the rest of the message, I would have seen that. Carpe noctem, which is Latin for seize the night. Carpe vinum, seize the wine. And then I put to that prose, we are all alcoholics every once in a while.
I was after every
In-game.
mission, it was they were in the yawning portal,
Yeah.
just getting sloshed.
And then Christine said, I love the Latin names. Anything to do with the Strings of Fate, maybe? Or just ... the Strings of Fate?
Because I remember Christian had used that a few times. You used that a few times as like a storytelling sort of element where you're like, and then you see like you would describe the Strings of Fate, and I was like, also Vincent has a violin, so that kind of works, right?
Christian said, prose, thematically accurate, goes with the violin, really cool theme. Cons, can easily be changed to silly Strings of Fate. You know, that's never come up once.
It's literally never.
Strings
I'm
of
so
Bait
scared
came
of
up
it. The
before
Strings
that.
of Bait came up before the Strings of Fate.
Silly
Strings of
strings.
Fate. I like
String cheese of
the
fate.
string cheese of fate.
So that is how we came up with the Strings of Fate on
Yeah.
October 29th of 2019.
Wow.
Because
Good work,
immediately
everyone.
after that was the Madhouse session.
Yep.
And after that, after you cleared it, they were like, what do we call it? Like, who are you? And then you were like,
With the strings of
we're the silly Strings of Fate. It was good.
Wow.
We had a lot of good names in there, save for that one.
Water, Christian said.
Oh. Water. They're gonna be like, they have never once bleep something out. What on earth?
What could it possibly be?
And he's gonna leave if y'all call it water.
New character.
I'm so excited for the edit of this podcast. That's gonna be very good. Well, let's do a nice little lightning round of the last few questions here. This one is, how did Lidara turn blue? Michelle, why is Lidara blue?
You know,
Rapid fire.
one day I was
Rapid
like,
fire.
she's blue. And so she's blue.
There are blue wood elves in my world now because Michelle's made this choice.
I just like blue.
It's a great color. It's 2/3.
You know,
right
in
now.
Wizards of the Coast lore, tieflings aren't supposed to be green, but I decided to be green too.
You know,
Yeah,
So,
we break all the norms.
We break all the norms.
Fantasy world.
Period.
Why didn't you try and take the treasure from the Vault of Dragons?
We didn't care.
Yeah.
There's a whole
Literally
dragon down
didn't.
there. I'm not gonna do that.
There is a dragon down there.
There was nothing that we wanted that bad.
Yeah. Vincent
didn't-
doesn't kind of like travel for money and
None of
power
us
and
were
stuff.
like, oh, we need the glory of getting it, and
I need the One
Piece.
We're all motivated by
It's something that none of us cared about.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. This one's a bit of a more open-ended question, which is, what is the most danger you think your character has been in pre-podcast, or I guess post-podcast now, if there's something that you've felt? I feel like Vincent's definitely had a moment where he's almost died.
Astral Sea thing.
Astral Sea, but then also first Sword of Fortune nearly gotcha.
Oh yeah, I've made some death saving throws. It was bad.
Azzurum.
Azzurum would be either whatever he did whenever he left Ciniath. That was pretty dangerous. I actually didn't know if he was gonna make it out of that one.
Are we gonna talk about the elephant in the room with the Azzurum's whole?
Azzurum had a little face.
We talked about Garrick. I don't know if we ever explicitly said it. Garrick is the leader of Invictus.
Yes.
Yes. Azzurum is a part of Invictus. That is.
Azzurum signed a little. Say Azzurum did some trials and
He's got a fun
got
tattoo
signed
now.
on, and he's got a morphing, somewhat tattoo that hasn't come up yet, but it has a purpose. So it's a little bit of it's been discussed before, so people know it, but like this might be the first time some new listeners are hearing this information after we shit talked Invictus for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But like one of our favorite NPCs is in Invictus, so you know.
Yeah, and
And
it's complicated.
Everyone's favorite Air Genasi is also in Invictus.
so yeah, Azzurum was Invictus. He joined Invictus whenever sometimes you'll hear us talk about when Azzurum left and when Azzurum came back. And he left to go join Invictus for reasons unknown to the party.
Yes.
Yep.
And just to clear that up, because I'm sure people would ask, Lidara, how did Lidara feel about that?
She definitely felt some thoughts. She definitely, well, when he first left, she still didn't know why.
Mm-hmm.
No one knew, but Azzurum did leave her a letter basically saying, like, am I allowed to talk about
Yes.
this? Okay. Azzurum basically left her a letter and was like, I'm going away. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine. Just
Trust me.
basically.
And I think he also may have told you to go talk to Dresden.
Yeah, he definitely did. He was like, go, like, talk to Dresden, he'll help you figure it out. And she was like, what? Okay, sure. And then after he came back and she discovered it, she was like, all right, cool, dope.
Dope.
That's
Awesome.
so dope.
They never, like, as a party, really dove deep into why he went and what happened when he went.
Because he kind of
They-
didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, he didn't really want to talk
We're
about
also,
it.
real busy at the
When
time.
he got back was right at the beginning of like the final arc of like us trying to get the eyes and defeat Manchun. He came back, the whole city was under siege, so there wasn't a lot of time to talk about it, but that was Azzurum's path with Invictus.
I think the big thing is that like the biggest effect from joining Invictus that you've noticed is that you've been placed in like what is kind of like I'm unofficially calling like a hierarchy, basically. and it's the only thing that the Invictus like status affects is that if somebody's ranked higher than you in the hierarchy of Invictus, and by some standard you don't know, you can't use your magic against them. So Garrick, for instance, if you saw Garrick again and you tried to cast something, it would completely like cause you immense pain and then fizzle out. Like it just wouldn't be possible.
There's also a time where somebody tried to cast on Azzurum and he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Because Azzurum was ranked higher.
There was also
we didn't know it.
Yeah, and we still don't know why. Still don't know what's going on there. There was also a time that Azzurum got a contract against an Invictus member.
Yeah.
And that was outranked him.
Yeah. You had to fight
creative.
to do it.
Yeah.
To cast the magic there, and you had to get very creative in fighting this person who your magic didn't really work against.
I'm sure all that will come up
eventually,
eventually, and we'll have
I
a
don't
good
know.
time.
It'll probably never come up again.
It will totally have a good time.
I'm done with Invictus. Obviously.
What prompted that question? What prompted me being like, oh, we should give backstory on that? Just making sure we didn't skip over a
Back to
question.
Garrick, back to most danger that Azzurum was in.
Yeah.
Which was the trials. Which
Probably the trials.
A lot of wild business going on.
Or that time that he fought the Basilisk.
Or the time he fought the Basilisk. Lidar, any danger?
Nope.
You're cut down.
Pretty good.
Doing great.
Can you imagine?
Fantastic.
Probably the most danger she's ever been in.
You're in danger.
Brown. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like instances that has happened to her. I mean, I guess like technically she was in a lot of danger when she was 5, and like she was like her whole family was getting murdered.
Yeah, that's a big,
she was
pretty big danger
couldn't really
point
defend
right there.
herself, because now I'm like, well, she can defend herself, so it's not like
Lidar is probably the one
when she fell off that roof.
the member that hasn't gotten like extremely close to death to the point of like, oh my god, like that's 2 death saving throws. Like both of you have had like death saving throws or something rolled against you, but Lidara hasn't yet.
Not yet.
I wanted to talk about the lost member of the Strings of Fate, our good boy Theodore, the replacement to Azzurum when he was taking his long trip up to Warlock Town.
Warlock Town.
Hanging out with those
Flavor Town.
It's Guy Fieri, except he's a warlock.
Yeah, Theodore.
That's what Garrick actually looks like.
He's like Guy Fieri.
Please.
So anyway,
Theo was unfortunately killed by Manchun, saving Vajra's life by completely. Mikayla played this moment fantastically. He started out as a young, timid, like straight A student of the Magus Academy, ended as a brave leader of his team who jumped and caught the attention of Manchun with a spell and completely saved Vajra's life, thus taking the hit himself.
What did he cast again?
He casted Finger of Death.
Manchun did?
Yeah,
What did
Manchun
Theo
did.
cast?
Theo counterspell, I'm pretty sure. Theo, it was either a counterspell or you just straight up blasted him with something, or like a firebolt or something. But whatever it was, you were trying to stop Manchun, caught his attention. He blasted back. Theo went down. And now you don't really know where Theo is, because he was a zombie for a while.
Took my
But
character from me.
him
So
and
sad.
the professor of the Magus Academy, Vera Moss, another NPC that isn't brought up in the podcast but is fairly important.
Yeah.
The last thing you heard from both of them is that she took some things to stop scrying on her. She took Theo's zombified self and then left Ciniath. So who knows?
And we don't talk about the Magus Academy a lot. We've mentioned Vajra, I've mentioned like Theo obviously and Vera, but like we spent kind of a lot of time there.
we like had little rooms.
Yeah, we had rooms in the Magus Academy, and I think it kind of started out because Vincent was like, I want to learn magic. You can teach me magic.
Vera was teaching you magic, yeah.
And then
then
everybody got kind of contracted into a thing, and
The
then we ended up.
tournament thing.
Yep.
So we were just like, well, if we're training here for so much time,
That's
for this
very nice.
tournament, then like might as well, because we had a couple scenes of like training outside and like the feels like I think like Lidar went outside and would like just throw things at a tree.
Yeah, you'd spar a lot. There was a lot of sparring, fighting, trying to teach Theo how to do well in combat. So you.
But he was pretty good.
I just pulled up Theo's character sheet.
He did
only
pretty
has
well.
27 hit points.
Aw,
He's just a boy.
In total?
Just a boy.
Yes, in total.
In total, yeah.
Oh my
He was literally just a boy.
Oh, the reason I bring that up is because the Mages Academy in our podcast, Doc Barry.
Doc Barry used to be
Yes.
something with the Mages Academy. I don't know
I think
exactly.
he was like the school nurse.
He was the school nurse. A long while ago he was the school
So
nurse.
he's a connection there, and kind of he said he knew Vajra but didn't know what she was up to. And then we told him, and he was like, "Oh shit, she's important now."
Yeah, she was
So-
just a bright young student when he had first met her, and now she's the head of the damn show over there.
Yeah.
But Doc Barry used to be a part of the Mages Academy. Mages Academy being the only magic institute now canonically in Afra, like the only place that teaches magic besides one of the only. There's one more place that's in the Storied Citadel, but that's for a different time.
Shit.
Write
that down.
But the purpose of this was mostly just to cover anything that might come up post podcast, and we covered a lot.
Covered quite a bit.
Hopefully reawakening some memories of characters and motivations, and having you all look over your backs now when thinking about it. But
Thinking about that fourth hand now, just a little bit, but
there's a lot.
Uh-oh.
Well, folks, it's been fun. It has been fun. Is there any closing statements that you all have? Any little things you wanted to touch on about your characters? Any words that you have, etc.? Something along those lines.
I can't wait to kill Azrum's dad.
That's true.
It's gonna be fun.
That's mostly been podcast stuff that never really came up pre-podcast, besides like to talk about backstory.
Yeah, speaking of things that also never came up pre-podcast that have come up in podcasts, can't wait to figure out what the hell Archie's deal is.
Archie, big fan.
Going on with that business.
Mm-hmm. I think by the point this gets released, we will be episode 22 will have been released.
Yeah.
Spoilers for episode 22. There's some backstory stuff there that's being brought up.
some sister shit.
That is very fun, very cool and quirky.
Never knew how much I missed it.
Otherwise, anything show feedback wise that you think we should touch on?
Somebody did ask any shred of information you can give about Azzy and DeVille.
We had.
I just don't know
like,
if there's
time for
anything
your
else.
Crumb corner here.
Talk about how they
Oh, they beep. And they beeped. Congrats. Congrats.
And how does that make you feel?
great.
Fantastic. Great. DeVille did save your lives.
That was
the
the
redeeming.
greatest. My roommate hated us when DeVille saved our lives because we just screamed.
It was so
He was
loud.
like,
I
"Oh
was
my
awesome.
god."
That means that we might have it on recording. Like a really bad recording.
It
but-
might-
Yeah.
We might have it on recording.
Oh, somebody did ask what was Vincent doing post amnesia.
Yes.
Talk about
That's right. We did not get to that. But actually, I think I want to save that for character deep dives. We're going to
Yeah.
do these
we can do-
Yeah.
in the future. I'm going to sit down with each member of the Strings of Fate, and we're going to talk about things backstory-wise. We're going to talk about how they feel now. We're going to talk about perhaps fleshing out certain points that aren't like fully fleshed out. Try and get some insider insight into that, so it's not just, oh, I'm going to tell you Lidara's backstory again. It's like, let's talk about that moment where you met Azzurum or something like that, something that didn't fully come up. Or let's talk about your years with Kale and Makarim and Chimeria as well.
Oh yeah, her little friends.
Yes.
We can talk about that.
But we'll get into that in the deep dive.
Yeah.
Before we go ahead and check out shopdungeondepths.com/softpod for our stickers that are currently on sale in a ton of different variations. They're beautiful. They're amazing. Also, go ahead and check that page out right now, and you can pre-order the exclusive SoftPod Dice Vault. They're absolutely beautiful. If you want one, you gotta pre-order it. They are fantastic. They're amazing. Thank you, Olivia, so much for helping us out with those and for making them. We are absolutely thrilled with them. Go check them out right now. Any other announcements besides episode on Friday?
Share the podcast with your friends and family.
Amazing. Wonderful. Fantastic.
If you can, please.
Tweet about us at #SoftPod. If you're not already in the Discord, join the Discord. We have a lot of fun. See, I think that everyone should join the Discord because I know what it's like to consume media and feel like you can't talk to anyone about it. So if you're like, God, this is so cool, I wish I could just talk to someone about it, and your friends are being stubborn and won't listen, then
That's
join
crazy.
the Discord and
So
make
many
new
people.
friends.
You know, in our
Abandon old friends.
no, not like that.
No, /J.
Convert your friends into the Discord as well.
Yeah, our Discord's great. The people in there are crazy, talented, and friendly. They had an OC award ceremony where they all voted on superlatives for their OCs. It was great. It was like so wholesome.
Completely community arranged. So if you want to get in on events like that, you got to be a part of the soft chord.
Also, every once in a while on the soft chord, we will go live on the tavern stages, some variation of the party, or all of us, or one of us. And a lot of times we'll answer questions like this, things that you're unsure about, a little insider info. One time I played a little bit of the episode and I didn't tell Christian. And
Anyways, sometimes we just chat about fun things.
Like museums.
Were you
and
talking
fruit.
about doing like a tavern chat concert? I don't know what that meant at all.
we
but it
were
sounds
talking about
cool.
that. I'm not going to promise that because it's a lot of. We did try it. We actually did try to do it one time. We can talk about that after we're done recording. But we do tend to, especially after super exciting episodes, go on the chat after the live premiere and talk live and talk about our theories with the soft chord directly. Usually it's pretty small group, so it's a good place to like talk to us directly and talk to people directly who are just as hyped about the show as you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I think otherwise that is it. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Soft Talk. We've had a ton of fun talking about D&D, and remember, this is the only place that you can get that kind of content.
Yeah,
so
the only place.
come on back next time for more D&D. I know we're a real niche community right now, but
Not a lot of other people doing what we do.
not a lot of other people
Pretty
doing what we do.
No.
Can we get sued for that?
No.
No, well, I don't know.
Everything I just said is a joke. So.
We're also sponsored by Quick Roads too.
No. That's
Anyways, that's
joke.
it. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Have a good one.